You have proof, and yet they're not even willing to take a look at your information and dispute it. And I think
that's quite true. We're not sure exactly why that is, except one could say that this is a very conservative area politically, very Republican, and our county, city, and state officials are very right-wing reactionary Republicans, very protective of corporate interests that get them elected, and they're just absolutely not interested in anything that might interfere with business.
Well, on that note, we are going to take a break. We will be back in a few minutes. You are listening to Food Integrity Now. We are talking to Francis Mangels about chemtrails. Welcome back to Food Integrity Now. We are talking with Francis Mangels about chemtrails and the mounds of scientific evidence that he has about chemtrails. And we want to let our listeners know that if you have a question, if you dispute what we're talking about, if you have something to say, we'd love to hear from you. You can either call us at 888-321-7234, or you can chat with us on the Ustream, and we'd love to hear from you. So, Francis, we were talking about that mound of evidence. Do you want to continue with a little bit more evidence, and then we can get into the soil testing that you've done?
Well, thank you very much. There's certainly no end of evidence right here. I was thumbing through the data, and I have this from Sugar Pine Canyon Creek, upper and lower watershed. This is near Bella Vista, California. And this lab report I have in my hand is from 2007, and it says aluminum, 4,640,000 micrograms per liter, barium, 40,200 micrograms per liter, and in the upper area of the watershed, 4,610,000 micrograms per liter, barium, 53,300 micrograms per liter. And mind you, these tests are made by a certified EPA lab, and this is EPA method 6010B. These are very reliable tests from a certified lab. And I might add that don't drink the water and don't eat the snow from surface waters anymore, because the government will shut you down if your water is over 1,000 micrograms per liter, and here's a creek with over 4 million in it.
That's astonishing.
What's allowed for aluminum in drinking water is 50 micrograms per liter, and we're getting consistently over that in our rainwater, and just a lake. It's extremely high in there, so you don't want to drink the surface waters, at least anywhere here on the West Coast and in a lot of the waters of the northeastern United States. Don't do that. It's pretty poisonous.
So
you're not going to drop dead, but eventually you will.
So if the purported purpose of all of this geoengineering is to combat global warming, why do you think they're not telling us about it?
I'm not sure if they're not telling us is the reason. What I think is really going on is military stupidity or corporate stupidity, because the military is not required to do environmental assessments or environmental impact statements. And the military also stated, I actually called them, got a Ms. Aguilera, and she said, these are aircraft emissions. They are not subject to any federal regulations. And besides, we're the military. We don't have to talk to you. And I haven't heard from the military since. So I think it's just blatant stupidity. And it's like tobacco smoking. Not everybody drops dead immediately, so tobacco smoking went on for 100 years before people started to say, that's probably killing you. Well, we're at the shape now like tobacco smoking. We know there's a lot of aluminum, barium, and strontium that's coming down in the rain and coming down in the air as a nanoparticle fallout. We know it's there. We've got the proof.
Well, what symptoms?
Just the military is saying, we don't care.
Right. What symptoms are we experiencing in the landscape, in the environment from these high levels of metals?
Are you talking about people, or are you talking about what happens to the soil and our food supply?
The soil and the food supply first, and people also, if there's anything that you have to say about that.
Well, let's go to people first, because if you start getting me talking about the food supply and what it's doing to our gardens and agriculture here in California, I could go all day about this. So very bluntly, the rates of autism and Alzheimer's in Northern California, where I have lots of contacts with the medical people, it used to be about 1 in 10,000 kids had autism, or 1 in 10,000 had Alzheimer's. Well, autism is now up to 1 in 112 with children, and it's about 1 in 200 for Alzheimer's, and of course remarkable increases in childhood Alzheimer's too here in California.
Childhood?
They do a lot of this
Alzheimer's.
Contrail spraying and geo-engineering spraying. So there is a connection.
I've never heard of childhood Alzheimer's. That occurs? That happens?
Yes, it is unusual, but it does happen. But primarily what we're seeing in the kids is 1 out of 100 with autism. And aluminum, of course, is a neural poison. That's why you don't see anybody using aluminum cookingware anymore. That's pretty much gone by the way. And aluminum as a neural poison is rather serious, and you breathing that in. Another thing we're having in our local county health records is lots of, you have a heavy day of contrail spraying, and about 2 days later, which is about how much time it takes to fall out and get down to surface layers, you see rashes of people with asthma, COPD, various breathing problems and breathing difficulty, allergy flares up. And those happen about 2 to 3 days after heavy contrail spraying.
Let's get into some of the details of this Welsbach patent. I'm sure our listeners would like to hear about that.
Well, the Welsbach patent is you can find it on the web. It's patent, I think, 5,039,484. I'm not sure exactly of the number, but it is nanoparticles sprayed from jet aerosols. Some of it can apparently go right through the engines, and some of it can be sprayed through a nozzle in the fuselage of the jet, which I have personally seen with my telescope. No jet has 2 engines and then a vertical exhaust in the center of the middle lower belly. Jets don't have engines that go vertically straight toward the ground from the belly. And so with this kind of stuff, excuse me, I lost my train of thought. What was your question?
Oh, we were just going over some of the details of the Welsbach patent.
Oh, the Welsbach patent. Okay, from coast to coast now, we have derived a chemical signature of the Welsbach material. You can read the patent, and most of it you can get an idea what's going on, but some of it is classified as a military secret, and they won't tell you. Or it's also held as an industrial secret. In other words, we think this is so much money is involved here, and it's worth so much that we're not going to tell you what's in it. And that's what you get out of the Welsbach patent. But our data is now showing, and I have it right here in front of me, that the Welsbach patent has a chemical signature that shows it very high, and of course, aluminum, barium, and strontium, those are the 3 key signatures. And it's also very high in iron and manganese. That doesn't bother me too much. Lots of boron and arsenic in it. Now, we don't know why those compounds are in, those elements are in there. We don't quite know what they have to do with the nanoparticles that they're spraying out. But we do have a lot of boron and arsenic and barium and strontium, and those are pretty substantially poisonous stuff. And we absolutely know for sure because we see it from coast to coast. This Welsbach signature is coming out in the jet spray. We have the data. I have the data right in front of me as we speak from EPA-certified labs, and more is coming in very soon.
Which government agency is enacting these chemtrails?